I learned kind of halfway through my career that IT departments and IT leaders need to be their own marketing departments. So sometimes no one knows what you're doing and you're doing a lot. You know, I have a joke, if I could do it all myself, I would. And so obviously you can't. And so the key to being successful is surrounding yourself with really talented people. Any kind of compliments, praise, recognition should flow right through you easily and go to your team. So when something great happens and you were getting told by the CEO, good job, go, look, it was the team. Praise and compliments go through you, all the crap stops at you. People will ask, what's your leadership style? And mine is to hire really, really great people, be really clear about the destination, like here's where we're going, and then get out of their way.
Welcome to Blade to Greatness, the podcast where retail leaders sharpen their edge one executive skill at a time as we uncover the essential traits every retail leader needs to thrive. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
And I'm Casey Golden. Each episode, we're joined by a guest who brings one transformative leadership skill into focus. And today's episode is all about the human side of innovation. Because let's face it, tech doesn't innovate itself. People do.
We're joined again by Andrew Laudato, COO of The Vitamin Shoppe and author of Fostering Innovation. And this time, we're talking about how to build high-performance teams that don't just execute, they elevate.
Andy shares some powerful leadership philosophies like why you should be a Diode, how to invest in your A players, and why empathy is your most underrated innovation tool.
If you lead a team or want to lead a better one, and who doesn't, right? This episode is packed with insights you can use right now. Before we dive in with Andy, let me tell you about our new sponsor, the Retail Razor Podcast Network, Retail Club. Join 2,000 retail leaders at the Retail Club AI Festival, September 22nd to 24th in Huntington Beach. Dive deep into how AI is reshaping retail while soaking up the sun at a fully outdoor beachside venue. Decision makers from retailers and brands can attend with free tickets and up to $1,250 in travel reimbursement. Head to retailclub.com to learn more and get your ticket today. Thank you to Retail Club for helping us bring you this podcast and the other shows in our podcast network.
I'll be there. Ricardo will be there. And pretty sure Andy will be there.
So we hope to see you there.
We also have a quick ask. If you like our show, how about giving us a 5-star rating and drop a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or VidPods? We really appreciate your support.
And check out the other shows in our Retail Razor Podcast Network, the Retail Razor Show, Retail Transformers, and Data Blades. You can find them in your favorite podcast player or visit our YouTube channel and find them all. Now let's jump in. Here's our conversation with Andy Laudato.
Andy, welcome back to the Blade to Greatness podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Casey.
So today, Andy, you're joining us to talk about another critical skill that retail leaders really need to master because it's so important to remember that you're leading people, not just technology. And that skill is, how to foster a high-performing team. In your book, Foster Innovation, you talk about how, as a leader, you need to be a diode when leading teams and building innovation. So tell us more about what it means to be a diode and your approach to fostering high-performing teams.
Yeah, I have a joke, if I could do it all myself, I would. And so obviously you can't. And so the key to being successful is surrounding yourself with really talented people. I've been at this retail tech thing for a long, long time, and it's constant change. And, the things I learned when I started are completely irrelevant, but the leadership skills, those remain, and the ability to be successful with good people. So people will ask, what's your leadership style? And mine is to hire really, really great people, be really clear about the destination, like here's where we're going, and then get out of their way. Sometimes I use the analogy that we're off in the woods and we need to get to Oz. And there's like these flying monkeys and this evil witch, and there's this yellow road and talking trees. But when we get to Oz, it's going to be great, right? We're going to get a bath and some food and meet the wizard. So that's what leadership is talk about where you're going, but then let the team figure out how to get through all the perils and find the journey on their own. I was telling the story to someone and they're just looking at me like I felt I was crazy. And apparently they'd never seen the movie The Wizard of Oz. So
What?
Really?
one of your viewers has never seen this movie
Wow.
before. You won't know, but I think most people probably get that.
I mean, by now, goodness gracious.
Yeah, you would think.
Like, you imagine hearing all that and not knowing
And
what
not
I was
knowing.
talking about. I was definitely getting a strange look.
Yeah, and look at you like you had 3 heads.
So, Ricardo, you mentioned diode.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about what a diode is. A diode is an electronic component that's in our computers, our phones. And it has one simple job. It lets electricity flow freely one way and it blocks it the other way. That's all it does. And it's really important to make yes, no, on, off switches. So without diodes, we wouldn't have computers.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I found that a really good analogy for leadership. Any kind of compliments, praise, recognition should flow right through you easily and go to your team. So when something great happens and you were getting told by the CEO, good job, go, look, it was the team. The opposite direction where it stops is any kind of complaints, problems, frustrations. As the leader, you need to take those. You need to take responsibility, accountability, and go, it's on me, it's my team. So again, a simple analogy, but just something to think about. Praise and compliments go through you. All the crap stops at you.
Absolutely. No, I love that. How can leaders apply this philosophy beyond IT?
Yeah, I don't think it's really an IT leadership. I mean, I run more than IT in my current job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really about sometimes looking for things that are right, not just looking for things that are wrong. Maybe I'm visiting the warehouse, one of our distribution centers. And if I see something that I don't think is ideal, I'll say something. But do you always say something when you see something that's really running well, right? Or when's the last time you gave a compliment because email hasn't gone down in a year? So never, right? So looking for things that are right then gives you something to give compliments. And then I learned kind of halfway through my career that IT departments and IT leaders need to be their own marketing departments. So sometimes no one knows what you're doing and you're doing a lot. I mean, I had people on my team stayed up all night and did a big change last night and they're really tired today. It went perfectly, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it happened, right? And that's what we want it to be. They're invisible by design. But definitely make sure that we recognize them or even bring it up in a next time we have a company town hall. Call them out and announce and, say it. And one of the guys on my team is great at doing analogies. I think all of us in tech I already talked a couple analogies, right, about the flying monkeys. And although that one feels kind of real, but taking that tech thing that we did, like it was actually DNS. And we're like, imagine if you had your house, but there were no address marks on it. Nobody could find it, So we use simple things like that. That way you can make it relatable.
Yeah.
But everyone also understands that people were up all night and then they're back on the call at 7 a.m. to talk about it. So I think some of the ways you can do that or expand on credit is to be really outward of looking for things that are right and talking about it more publicly.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of interesting how it is. A lot of people think of it in terms of, because you're dealing with a lot of systems and technologies, especially in your example, when you have a team that's up all night, either upgrading something or doing the maintenance on something, or it's a technology piece. And if all goes well, right, then no one should even know what happened in a sense, right? So, and if anything, everyone does here, people tend to think first about, oh, well, it must be such a good technology you're using that made that possible. When instead, what you really want to think is, oh, it's because the team is so good at doing this, they were able to get it done that way.
Yeah.
Without any incident and without
I call them quiet
trouble.
heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes someone double checks something and they find something that would have gone bump in the night, but it didn't,
Right.
Sometimes the quiet heroes don't even tell anyone.
Yeah.
When there was a big third-party outage, one of our team members found something and fixed it really, really quickly and saved us a lot of pain. And we found out about it and celebrated that person. But that's what you want. You want the people to double-check their work or look at that, or maybe they log on the weekend to make sure it's going right. But then on projects too, this is a big part of what we do, creating value, building in projects. And I don't know if we always celebrate enough because you get it done and there's a little bit of that sigh of relief. So you got to take some time. I'll tell you, a sandwich or a cake or something goes a long way with teams, especially teams that are only together part-time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You a multi-million-dollar project, you can afford another couple $100 for some lunch and a treat for the team. And we've turned some of at the Vitamin Shop, we turned some of our IT people into celebrities because we have a call every morning. And it's just a 10-minute call online, but everybody talks, and we invited the entire corporate office voluntarily if they want to come to the call. So we got a lot of fun characters that have good humor and celebrate. So getting people more known that are normally behind the scenes is something else I like to do.
Yeah. What were some other things and other leadership practices you found are really, really successful and help build that engagement in those teams to really keep people excited about what they're doing and maintain that performance level as a high performing team?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to make sure the work is balanced, right? I mean, you can burn people out for a short period of time, but not forever. So everybody's going to put in a lot of hours at a certain time in their career to get something over the finish line, but that needs to be sustainable. I worked with someone once that worked 8 to midnight every single day, 5 days a week. And as much as I sort of respected it, when it was time to give more, he had no more to give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That was his normal. So making sure that people are balancing their work-life balance so that when we do need you to ramp it up, you're there. I think that's really important. Listening to the team. I mean, nobody understands what's going on more than the people closest to the work.
Right.
So maybe you're a general and you go over the hill and the soldier's like, why don't we go around it? So listening to the team and go, oh,
yeah,
I think I have a better way to do this, making sure there's input, because sometimes the how is decided up front. I think that's super important. And even if you're not agreeing or there's a good reason, let the person know, hey, I hear you, but we can't do that because X, Y, Z, or that's a great idea, or maybe there's a compromise. I think that's really important. I'm really big on what I call career development planning. And this is not performance management. This is about having people individually spend time thinking about what they want out of their career and writing it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was CIO at a company before, and I used to think when I was younger that every single person wanted my job in the whole department. I went from computer programmer to senior to manager to director to VP to CIO. And so I had this false assumption that everybody was on that path. So I asked the team, I did a little email, how many of you want to be CIO? And it was like 3 people out of 150. And there's only 3 that weren't that smart. The rest were smart and want the job. And, but it got me going, oh, well, what do they want, right? And
yeah.
start asking them, what do you want? And some just wanted to do really meaningful work. Some wanted to work on modern, cool things and keep growing their knowledge. Others just wanted to make a whole bunch of money. Like, how do I maximize my income? And some really wanted to minimize their time at work because they wanted to have more time for their hobbies in their home. So you start thinking about individuals and letting them tell you what they want as a leader, and then writing it down, which is key. It's so important. If you want to achieve your goal, is to write it down. Then you can start building activities and programs and career paths around that. So, and when you're doing that for people, like sometimes the answer is not at the company where they work now. Okay, right? We're not all going to have 30-year careers at the same company, but a lot of times I find when you help people figure out what they want from their career, they may end up staying longer because they know that you're investing in that.
Right.
And I always say, like, if you want to be an astronaut, you better be studying math and physics and doing push-ups. But if you don't want to be an astronaut, but you want to be a director or a leader, or a senior architect, then you better be doing the things that are going to get you there. And our job as leaders then is to put the people in that position. I mean, if someone came to me and they worked in IT and said they really want to be an accountant, I'd be like, great. I don't really understand that, but great. Why don't you do the IT budget, right? Or why don't you go spend a couple hours a week with someone in accounting so I could help that person get there? But had I not known about that, I would have never thought to do that because I would never thought someone would want to do that. But
I think it's a really important aspect of being a great leader and your people really working for you when they feel like you are their champion regardless. I always wanted to find out, like, what do you want to learn today? What direction do you want to go? What do I do that I can take off my plate that somebody else is actually dying to learn? One. But then also just being that champion for them. I had like a BD that worked for me, and he got an amazing opportunity and he was scared, and his parents said not to take this job. And I said, you're going to call them right now and you're going to accept it, or I'm going to fire you by the end of the day. And you're going to miss both opportunities. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Go take a break, call them and accept.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
And he's continued down a completely different career path 10 years later doing that thing. And I was just like, Granted, if you don't get it, like, dude, I'll hire you at any point. You can have your job back, but like, you have to go try this.
Well, and I think probably the next thing we should talk about is who do you hire and how do you figure out who to hire? Because things are changing so rapidly, right? I've got lots of people working on AI that wasn't even a thing when they got their jobs. And so I think that for me, we really need to move away from hiring for specific skills.
Yeah.
And I have a list of things. Number one is integrity. You need someone that's honest and open.
Right.
And then ambition. So are people going to go get it? And the pace of change is so fast. Are people going to put in the work to learn? One of my most hated questions is like, what are you going to do to train me? And I always said, what are you going to do to train yourself? Right. And there's so much free content out there, content, or whether it's Udemy or so people that are always investing. And I ask a lot of questions in interviews about what are you doing to learn and keep up? And then the other thing is temperament. Can people remain calm under pressure? So I always try to put people in a tough situation in the interview to see if they lose their cool. But notice I didn't say 5 years of JavaScript or AWS administrator. I mean, these are the jobs. Those will be the job titles. And those things are important. But if I hire just for skill, the skill is going to become irrelevant.
It's going to be gone. Yeah.
So is a person willing, able, and capable? Intelligence is the other one, right? Are they able to learn these new skills? So, and if someone's not a right fit for the team, right, you got to do the right thing for them too and move on, which is always tough. But you do someone a disservice if you keep them struggling in the wrong job.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. If the opportunity is not with you, then it's probably somewhere else, and you want to give them that chance.
Yeah, and I like what Casey said. The person that she talked about had a whole new career.
Right.
So find something you're good at. Everybody's good at something.
Yeah.
If you can make money doing it, then you've won.
Then you're
life.
set. Yeah, exactly. Well, Andy, this has been a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much for highlighting this really important topic. So critical to being able to lead innovation and something that every retail leader needs to understand.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As always, Andy, you bring great perspective to these discussions. Thank you. And it's a wrap, Ricardo. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods. And don't forget to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. I'm Casey Golden.
We'd love to hear from you. Follow us and share your feedback at Retail Razor on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for highlights from every episode and visit retailrazor.com for transcripts and more details about our amazing guests. Blade to Greatness is part of the Retail Razor Podcast Network. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay sharp, lead boldly, stay human. This is the Retail Razor Blade to Greatness.